The tip of the week today is ways to reduce friction and decision fatigue. And David, when you say this, you're referring to when members are signing up to a site, correct?
That's correct. We'll be talking about ways to reduce that friction and basically get members signed up a little quicker and simplify their decision-making process for them. A lot of times, we hear about abandoned checkouts or abandoned shopping carts for e-commerce sites. It's a similar concept on membership directories, but obviously because we don't have products that people are checking out with, we have membership plans. We want to make that process, that sign-up process, as easy and smooth as possible. So that's what we'll dive into a little bit here. So first, we'll talk about what friction is and what decision fatigue is. So friction can lead to decision fatigue. Essentially, it's the difficulty that's added to the members' sign-up process on our websites. And that friction, that difficulty, can lead to decision fatigue. And at the extreme, it can lead people away from our site and end up not signing up, which is obviously what we want to avoid. So some of the things that can go into this are if we have a sign-up page that's difficult to find, if we're not making the link to the sign-up page really apparent on our site, if our sign-up page has way too much information, if it's really difficult to digest and understand, if there's a lot of verbiage on it, it's easy for people to kind of get lost in the weeds there. Another pitfall that some people fall into is if we're offering too many membership plans. We think we're doing our potential members a service by offering them a bunch of different options that they can choose from, trying to cater to everybody. But when we offer all those options, it's like when you go to a restaurant, you have a massive menu with maybe 100 different dishes. That just makes it even more difficult for us to choose what we want. So we really want to narrow that down. And then another one might be if we require more than just an email address and a password for people to register. When people are signing up, we really want to get all that essential information from them right away. But what we really want to do is just get our foot in the door, let them sign up and register with their email address, their password, get that account created, and then we can move forward with asking for that additional info. So this is all stuff that we'll get into more detail with in this presentation. But generally, we want to make the sign-up process as easy as possible, and we want to avoid that paradox of choice, which is when we offer too many choices, people might end up not actually making that decision. So we've already convinced them to join at this point. They're on our site, they like what they see, they want to sign up, so we don't want to make it complicated for them. Offer 3 membership plans at most. We've talked about this in quite a few previous webinars, but this goes back to that restaurant menu analogy where we don't want to offer too many choices for them where it ends up just becoming confusing and overwhelming. Obviously, this will depend on the industry and the niche that your website's targeting, but generally 3 membership plans will generally be good enough for most industries and target demos. So this is really where that decision fatigue can set in, and we want to make that decision process for these prospective members really a no-brainer. The fewer options that we're providing them, the faster they can make that decision and sign up. This is a big point that it's really easy to forget about, and we really try to reiterate this in a lot of the presentations we do regarding the sign up and the registration page, is to only advertise the most important features that we're offering. When we're providing a membership plan, oftentimes we're giving them a lot of functionality, but we really want to hone in on what specifics of the membership plan they're really signing up for. What makes it stand out from what other websites are offering or what the other membership plans that we're offering have. So we don't want to let these prospective members get bogged down in the unnecessary details. This is where our sign-up page can really get pretty long and confusing and overwhelming. So we really want to narrow it down to the important features that people are really signing up for and that they want and need, and we want to make those features apparent, whereas the other ones we might not need to really shine a spotlight on at this point. And number 2, simple and fast registration form. So the goal here is to allow members to register as fast as possible. Again, this isn't necessarily where they're filling out all the information for that's going to be going on their profile. It's just creating that member account. So we really want to keep that default registration form. For the free membership accounts, that's all it asks for is an email and a password, and obviously a confirmation for both of those fields. But that's all the information we're initially asking for. On a paid membership plan, we will have those additional form fields for collecting that form of payment, credit card, debit card information. But generally, we don't want to add any other fields to these two sign-up forms. We just want to, again, get our foot in the door, get that account registered, and then we can move forward with asking for additional information. So again, reduce that friction, get our foot in the door. We already have them hooked. We don't want to make this process any more difficult or any more time consuming than it has to be. We want to get that member account created.
So just to backtrack, probably most of us are going to have different membership plans. Some of us don't. We just have that one for the initial registration. But when you do offer multiple membership plans, again, as David was mentioning, to keep these pages short and direct, we really want to get them to these registration pages as quickly as possible. Once they've made a decision that, okay, I want to register, you want to help facilitate that as smoothly as possible. So our ultimate goal is to get them to this page, but only after we know that they've seen a few assets that are going to motivate them to want to say, okay, I want to fill out this form and I want to continue with the process. Let's see what's behind the door. So really the goal is to get them to this page as quickly as possible, but we're assuming that we've already convinced them to move along with the sign-up process, and we want to make this process as smooth as possible. So again, minimum input fields just to get that email and account registered on the site.
That's right. And if we really want to take this a step further, we do have a previous tip of the week where we talked about adding confidence boosters to the checkout pages. So if you want to dive into that, we'll go ahead and I'll share the link in the chat here. So if you want to take a look at that, you're more than welcome to. But that's a good way. Again, we don't want to add any additional new information that might complicate the sign-up process because we already have them. This just might be where you want to add maybe one or two extra confidence boosters, maybe a testimonial, just to really reinforce the fact that they're making the right decision signing up. And the next tip, faster signups with Facebook and Google. So this isn't necessary. This is just something that might make the lives of your members a little bit easier. Again, our goal here is to reduce that friction and speed up this sign-up process. So the one-click social login add-on, it provides that quick and easy registration process for users by giving them the ability to register with their Facebook account or their Google account. And oftentimes we're already logged into either, if we have one of those accounts or both, we're already logged into them on our computers anyway. So when somebody comes to your registration page, they can click one of those buttons, whichever one they want to register with, and your website will automatically capture that person's first name, last name, and their email address. And then when they come back to your site in the future, when they go to log in, they can just click login with Facebook or Google, whichever they registered with, and they can log in really easily that way. So again, not necessary, but it would speed up that registration process. And if you are part of the VIP add-ons club, you do already have this add-on. So if it's not activated, if you're not using it, you might want to consider turning that on. And the next tip is to ask for the bare minimum of information. When a new member signs up, that's great. We have their email address at the very least, but we still need them to complete their profile, especially if they're registering for a membership plan that will be publicly listed on your site. We need them to add in that additional information into their profile, about their business, about their practice, all that other information so that they can get found on your site, and then also so that it benefits your site in terms of the profile page being listed in search results and everything like that. So once we have the new member registered on our site, we don't want them to get that form fatigue and end up abandoning their account, because at this point, especially if it's a free account, all they've done is they've registered. So they wouldn't be necessarily losing anything if they saw a long form, say, with a couple dozen questions, fields that you want them to fill out and say, oh, this isn't really worth my time. I'll just delete my account, or I'll just abandon it and forget about it. That's not what we want to happen. So one way to go around this is if you do need to ask for a lot of information from your members, which again, in certain industries could be totally necessary, what you might want to do then is only make the absolutely necessary information required fields. So this way we still are asking for all this information that we may need, but we're not preventing the member's profile from getting complete and listed if they don't want to take the time to submit all those form fields immediately. Maybe they'll come back, later in the day when they have some extra free time, or the following day, and add that additional information to their profile. In the welcome email or in a follow-up email, you can always remind them to make sure that their profile is completed and that all the forms are filled out. But an easy way to still ask for a lot of information, but not necessarily give our new members form fatigue, is to not make all those fields required.
And what's important is, when somebody is signing up to a site, they're making a commitment, they're making an investment in their time, and also emotionally they're getting invested in the site. And one of the best ways to do that is to give them those small wins that aren't so daunting. So the shorter some of these forms are that they're filling out, and the easier the process is, we are actually inherently giving them small wins, which boost their emotional confidence to continue using the site because it appears that it's easy to use. They're having, again, the success in completing the different steps. And what's even cooler, and I'm going to get out of this slide real quick, David, is maybe, and just to, it's a little bit of extra work, but you can have different fields that different membership plans fill out. Let me find this article here. Here we go. How to customize member profile form fields for your target market, and actually based on the membership level. So maybe the basic members, not only do they not see certain fields, but they don't get to fill out additional information that may be public on their profile. So maybe it's a business, but you really don't even let them fill in important stuff that maybe premium members get to fill in. So you want them to upgrade in order to fill out those fields. So your basic or free member signups, yeah, they actually can only fill out basic and free information. And if they want to add and decorate their profiles more, then have them opt in to upgrade their plan to get that more decorated profile by being able to add more information to their listings. So bare minimum for initial and basic signups is a great idea, and then make it a positive thing that they can upgrade. And when they upgrade, they'll be able to, again, decorate their profile with valuable data that potential visitors might want to see or learn about that specific business.
Excellent. And throwing a curveball at you, sometimes this friction, generally we do want to avoid it, but sometimes it might be something that we want to embrace. Not all the time, but sometimes. So some of the reasons why it may be good to actually embrace a little bit of friction in the sign-up process is that it has the potential to pre-qualify our users and our members. If we have maybe an exclusive membership site, or one that has a really specific niche or target industry, target demographic, we might want to really make sure that the members that we're accepting meet certain criteria. And so if we add that friction and don't make it quite as easy for people to sign up on their own, or at the very least get publicly listed on your site on their own, then that can make it easier for us to pre-qualify those members before they're publicly viewable on our sites. It also, by doing that, can maintain a higher level of quality within our community. Again, this kind of depends on whether you're going after quality over quantity or quantity over quality in terms of our members. It really just depends on what your goals are with your membership site and your community as a whole. But another reason why we may want to embrace friction in the sign-up process is that it has the potential, if there's not too much of it, just a little bit, to add a little bit of red tape, which can give the feeling of exclusivity. So this plays into that first one a little bit, that it pre-qualifies users. And when something's exclusive, it's a little bit more difficult to gain entry to. That can make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more enticing for some people who may be already interested in joining. Now, I think it's important to clarify that in this scenario, we don't mean friction in the sense that it's actually difficult to sign up. People can't find your registration link, or you're providing them with forms with dozens of fields that they need to fill out. In this scenario, that red tape, that friction is more in line of maybe going through a vetting process or making sure that they meet certain criteria before we approve their listing. Things like that, which truly do make it feel a little bit more exclusive, and that we really do care about the quality and the types of members that are registered in our community and that are publicly viewable on our websites. And then the final one is that this can get users invested both emotionally as well as with their time in terms of what they're committing in order to create their account on your site and be registered. And so if they're investing this emotional energy and this time up front, then we already know that they're interested and they're probably committed, and they've already made this kind of investment up front, then they're more than likely to end up paying for a premium membership in the end. So again, we don't always want to introduce friction into the sign-up process, but depending on what our goals are, it may be beneficial at times to strategically introduce a little bit of friction or red tape into the sign-up process.
Awesome. This was a great bonus slide here, David. Thanks for it's good to highlight this because it's good to note that, again, in some industries, based what industry standards are, or what the expectation is, you may want to create that friction. And it could be simple as request to join our site form. So they fill out a form requesting to join the site. Then you send them like another application form, tell us about yourself. But now you're kind of reeling them in. And then after they tell you about themselves, maybe through a whatever number of input field form that you send them, then you tell them if they've been approved or not and the pricing plans on how to join, because now that you're taking them through the hoops, and again, as David mentioned here, you're getting them both emotionally invested and with their time as well. So something to consider. A little more high touch doing that method where you're going to manually approve every sign up, but with that, we've covered this in previous webinars, you can actually charge a slightly higher price point for your membership plan because, again, you're a little bit more hands-on, you're curating the community a bit more, and people will pay a premium for that type of behavior within a community.